Thomas Blake. Lessons from my first job. Lessons from my first job. Thomas Blake.
Have you ever had a lousy job? Of course. Terrible pay. My first hourly rate was $2.30 an hour in 1977. Terrible hours. Terrible tasks because we were the low man on the totem pole. And we felt like we just weren't learning anything in this lousy job. It was lousy. Mr. Contest Chair, Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests, let me tell you about my lousy job. It was my first job. Anyone work in a restaurant as their first job? That would be a lousy job too. I have never worked in a restaurant per se. My first job was in retail. Retail. Did I work at Walmart? No, that would have been great. Did I work at Kmart? No. I worked at Pick and Save. Your discount leader. And I was a stock clerk. My first day on the job, report for duty. I report to a man whose name was, and probably still is, Robert. He had the distinguished title of the head stock clerk. I walk up. What's your name? My name is Tommy Blake. Everything changed. When you walk through those doors, you're Tom Blake. We don't have any Tommies here. Yes, sir, Robert. Sir. The Apostle Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians, when I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. Just like that, I became a little bit of a man. 17 years old, but a little bit of a man. What was the lesson I learned from that incident happening? It was very simple. There comes a time when it's time you have to grow up. We all have bad situations. We all have to do things we just don't want to do. I'm a CPA. I'm not happy right now. But I have to do what I have to do. I have to man up. So that lesson that I learned many years ago has implications for me today. I have to grow up and be a man. Put childish ways behind me. Don't whine and complain and procrastinate, which is my nature, but be a man. That was lesson number one. Tough. About a week into this agony, I went to my stepdad. I'm quitting Pick and Save. Your discount leader. You can't quit till you find another job. Now I understand in your wisdom and experience that you just don't get it. Pick and Save is a terrible, it's a terrible place, it's a lousy job. Let me tell you what I had to do, dear old stepdad. I was a stock clerk, stocking shelves. That would have been okay. I told you I never worked at a restaurant, but Pick and Save had a lunch counter. Guess who got to clean it up? The low man on the totem pole. So every night I would go in to mop the floors. If I did a good job the night before, I would slip in. There's a lot of grease there. If I did a lousy job the night before, I would walk in, and I would stick to the grease from the day before. Lots of frying, hamburgers, onion rings, French fries, grease galore. I didn't like mopping those floors, but that wasn't the worst part of cleaning up the lunch counter. I had to recycle the used grease for the day. I love Popeye's fried chicken. Now, I don't go very much, obviously, but I love it. And I'll usually go either at lunchtime or at 6 p.m., and the smell of that chicken is just so tantalizing. Once I went near closing time, around 10 or 11 o'clock, didn't smell so great in there. So they had been using that same grease the whole day long. That's how it was when I was recycling the grease. I wish I could have done this. But it was a two-handed job. So I couldn't hold my nose. And I had to recycle the grease. I don't even want to know what it was recycled into. Job number 2, lesson number 2, you can't just quit. Number 3, about 3 weeks into the job, I got a phone call. And it was from Doris Wilson from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I was hired to be a clerk typist, $2.99 an hour. That was a big raise. Every few weeks, Doris would take me to lunch in the tallest skyscraper in Jacksonville. And one day, I remember it like yesterday, she said, let's go up the elevator. So up we went the elevator. And we landed in the lobby of one of the big 8 accounting firms. She said, one day you're going to be here. I am. You are. I am. Think about the lessons you learned from your first job. They'll help you every day. Mr. Tusman.